The secrets of spontaneity are in this video. Let's go.
Yeah. I'm inspired. I'm inspired.
Hey there guys, how's it going? My name is Sumit Chatterjee from the Flow Zone Academy, and I'm a flow state coach, which means that I help you feel better and perform better. In this video, I'm going to be teaching you about the art of spontaneity. Essentially, this is a really important aspect of flow state. Okay? The first thing is we have this thing in the back of our minds that we're going to look stupid, that other people are going to judge us. And that judgment creates a tension, a fatigue, a restriction in ourselves that we don't actually allow ourselves to share. Right? We go more inwards, we start to ruminate, and we repress all our emotions inside. And that process of gunk just starts to build up and build up and build up like residue until it's like a volcanic eruption coming up in an unhealthy way. But the thing about spontaneity is just allowing yourself to speak your inner truth and go with whatever is. You see, I had a conversation with my uncle, and he told me the importance of being vulnerable alongside your confidence.
Vulnerability and confidence.
Yeah.
You gotta be confident enough to be vulnerable. Someone who's confident enough to be vulnerable and say, yeah, I'm unemployed right now, and still be able to have that conversation with somebody versus everything's tied up together, you know what I'm saying?
When you have confidence and you're vulnerable with your confidence, you're allowing yourself to actually open your heart and have a communication, right? A carefrontation with somebody else, where you're like, hey man, look, this is what I see, this is how I see it. I don't know certain things, I know certain things, but I know my limits, I know my boundaries, and I'm going to state it just exactly as I'm going to state it. Right? There's no sugarcoating, there's no backlash, there's no fakeness, there's no additives and preservatives there, right? It's purely organic. So if you're feeling nervous talking to someone, you let them know, hey, I'm feeling a little bit nervous talking to you right now. That immediately sets you apart from 80% of people who are living with this mask on. I would say that the spontaneity actually is taking the mask off. That's what spontaneity is. It's going with what the moment is allowing you to do and bringing up in you. I think it's when you make the mistakes, when you go through experiences of life and you fail faster and you fail more, you start learning more. And you start accumulating all these reference experiences, and you become like this spontaneous, fluid stream of information and contemplation. So when you can actually let go and not be super attached to the outcome, when you start to spit over your stumbles. In freestyle rap, there is this idea of spitting over your stumbles. Spitting means rapping, right? And stumbling is you sort of start to judge yourself, or you start making a mistake of, I don't really know what to say. Even if you had this thought when you're freestyling, I don't know what to say, you're still gonna say it. Why? You're keeping with the rhythm and the momentum of what is being created. Until you have a certain structure in your mind that, okay, this is how a social interaction goes. This is how a rap structure is. This is how point A to point B, right? You know the rules of the game, but then you can improvise. So really start to understand this concept, okay? Because when you're learning a new musical instrument, let's say that you're learning a tuba, the first few times are gonna suck, right? You're gonna be shitty. At the first few times, you're gonna go into the struggle phase of actually learning that instrument. But once you break through, once you get into the release phase of the flow cycle, you let go, you surrender to the moment, you allow whatever comes up to come up, and you get that appreciation of acceptance. And once you get to that phase, you're like this flotation device, meaning you're allowing whatever needs to come up in that moment. A lot of the times I've noticed in my past relationships, what I've done is I've hidden my true intent with someone. I like them, but I don't let them know that I like them, right? I want to play this mysterious game of trying to be indirect or going behind the authenticity of what I truly mean. But that hasn't served me well. I know that it has not served me well because I know from the results. But when I've opened up, when I've allowed myself to just be like, yo, I feel this way about you. Yo, you have a really nice body. Yo, I feel this exact thing. That's spontaneity. Right? And that's one of the secrets to attraction, is being unpredictable, right? Not so unpredictable that it's toxic and you're You're doing one thing the one moment and then you're doing it completely different the other moment, right? That's incongruency. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about unpredictability, meaning you break the old patterns that you have in place. Einstein says that the definition to insanity is doing the same thing and expecting different results. But that's how we're living most of our lives, okay? I'm a little bit sweaty right now. I'm in India, obviously, like I'm really sweaty. And I spent most of my day with my uncle just discussing these things. So this video by itself is very spontaneous, right? It's 8 o'clock right now, and I'm making a video because I'm committed to my goal, right, of making a video daily. So that's why I'm making this video, and also to obviously give value to you guys, and whatever downloads I'm getting during this time, I'm letting it emerge. I'm letting whatever needs to come out. I'm not putting barriers in the way of my communication. Right? So one of the things to be able to just be spontaneous is you really got to not stop playing it so safe. Stop being like, oh, I need to be polite. I need to not offend people. I need to be like this in this specific instance. I need to be very, very professional in this context. Or I need to, of course, these things are important, right? But you don't want to get to the point where you're in analysis paralysis, where you're micromanaging and you're trying to edit every single thing that you're saying and you're censoring yourself. Okay? Because once you're censoring yourself, you really start to go off the platform. You start to go a different route than what you truly intended. So listen, man, you're not going to be perfect, okay? Perfectionism blocks this feeling of spontaneity. But in a relationship, don't you have those moments where you're like, hey, let's just go on a date today, right? Just random, like unplanned, right? Make the 7th date a spontaneous date where you just decide in that moment, hey, we're going to go here. Right? And it might not be something that you both like, but it might be a new opportunity to connect better and deeper and more meaningfully. So really start to understand that everybody has their own planet. Everybody has their own universe of how they're operating. So you've got to understand that this person is operating from this frame. This is their universe. This is what they enjoy. This is how they see reality. This is what they dislike. This is what they don't tolerate, right? And then you merge with that. You allow yourself to really play with that energy. And that's when your spontaneous nature truly emerges. When you're not willing to put a label on it, but what you're doing is you're being a lot more adjustable and flexible. Not that you're compromising 24/7, don't get me wrong, okay? The person who's overly doing that and constantly being like a leaf in the wind and not the wind itself is not going to be spontaneous. But you really want to allow whatever is inside of you to come through you. You see, a lot of people, when they're communicating, they don't have an agenda. I think that's problematic. I think speaking without agendas are problematic. Everybody has an agenda. You better know what yours is. Okay? Is the conversation there to connect you guys? Is it there that you're going to get their phone number? Is it there that you want to bring them back the same day to your place? Is the conversation there to share some piece of information to make that person's life better? Is the agenda like, okay, you want to make a business connection from them? Like, know exactly what the intention is and then become spontaneous in the moment. Right? Once you have the frame of that, of knowing exactly what your agenda is, then you can play with it. Then you can dance with it. Then you can improvise. One of the laws of improvisation is to follow the fear and seeing what comes up. Right? Because a lot of people's testimonial videos, what is happening, right? I got this from a person I spoke to very recently. We got on a coaching call, okay? His name is Felix. And Felix told me he works in marketing, right? So he told me that a lot of testimonials are there as a way to express your anxiety. Right? That's what testimonials are for. So if you don't set the structure for a testimonial, telling them exactly how many minutes, telling them exactly what they need from it and what they need to hear for their specific brand so that it comes across in a very particular way, it's pointless. Like a bunch of different testimonials from different people and not on your brand, off code basically, right, is not going to help you. So the testimonial has to come across in a way where, hey, it is spontaneous, right? But that spontaneity is really important because other people, right, are going to judge you based on your spontaneity. Like, for instance, if I were to plan this video very accordingly, I would be like, Hey there guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm here to speak to you guys about the flow state. Now the flow state is a state of transient hypofrontality. That's where your prefrontal cortex shuts down. You see that mirage of like, I don't care, right? You want to hear my energy come through the screen and pierce you and make an impact for you. You don't want to know like this generic video that's trying to help you out. And that the sad part is a lot of these videos, they become viral, right? It's like taking into account that everyone is pleased from this video. Oh, hey, great. Right, let's go about it this way. And it becomes very, very mundane, surface level, conventional, cliche wisdom that does not get anywhere to where they want to go. But spontaneity, what is it? It's like a spark in the engine, right? It's the inspiration that comes through. It's the download from source energy or God. It is what comes through the particular persona that you have created for yourself. So if you see yourself not as a spiritual person, you're not going to get those downloads from source. If you've limited yourself in your identity, you're not going to allow spontaneity to occur. So the first step here is to live in a spontaneous way, to be the type of person who's not so rigid about the rules and the schemas and the ways about doing something, about the methods that must be exact and very precise so that they get there. If you are that person with a stick up their bum, you need to be that person who lets go, who allows themselves to truly build an adaptability pyramid where they are allowing themselves to improve, but at the same time understanding that they've got to move with that. They've got to be the bamboo that moves with the wind, right? And allows whatever needs to come through. Because I could be really censoring myself in this video, but the truth would not be coming through. I could be wiping my sweat off and making sure that everything is okay, but that's not what you guys want. That's not what you guys want to hear. You want to hear the truth in the purest form of the truth that comes through me, off of the screen, onto you. So let me tell you this. Are you being spontaneous with your days or are you mundane? Jamie Wheel said this, right? If you're attached to the sacred, the mundane crushes you. If you're attached to the mundane, the sacred burns you. So really start to understand that, because that's a powerful anecdote. Because if you're not looking at your daily life, your daily rituals that you're creating every single moment of your life, if you're just seeing that as just another thing to do, another checklist, another basic day in your basic life, you being the extra in other people's movies, you adding value to your boss's company, you doing something to add value to someone else, but not giving value to yourself, you are doing yourself a disservice. So really start to understand that and break that paradigm. The paradigm that you're living in maybe isn't allowing the spontaneity to come through and flourish. A flower does not sit there and dream about the bee that buzzes and lands on it. What does the flower do? It just blooms. That's that spontaneity. It just takes the most aligned path that it sees for itself in that present moment. So you don't need to make 1,000 decisions into the future. You need to make that one decision right now. And that presence is going to allow that spontaneity to come through you, and that's when the big changes happen. So really start to understand that. I hope you have an amazing day. May the flow be with you and stay legendary. Hope you have an incredible day today. Boom.